finally come back to you and they have offered you the role. That's really exciting. Congratulations. So now what do? Do you accept the role? What are the questions you should be asking at this stage? Let's discuss that. So first you have to consider the offers on the table. If this is an offer, I seem to believe that, or I seem to see that a lot of offers get put out on a Friday. So you have the weekend to think it over, but then they expect an answer on the Monday. So if you have several interviews kind of in play, then you have only that day to kind of work things out. So maybe one of the things you need to do is manage expectations that you will get back to them when the weekend's over. Now, when you say that, you could say that you need one more day. You can say, because I've been given another offer and they've asked me to have time to write it up, and then you have time on Monday to contact them. But make sure that you know all the offers that are in play before you do anything. Okay, so the next piece is don't accept the offer right away. A lot of times they try and get you to verbally accept on the phone to make sure they're on the right page. Now, sometimes if the salary is completely off or something is a red flag, then you can address it at this point. If you thought you were going to get $50,000 as an offer and they're offering you 25, obviously this is a time to bring that up. However, if you get a decent offer, you want to think about it. Make sure that you give yourself time to think about it, that you show the offer to and discuss the offer with someone that you trust, your partner, a parent, your friend, a coworker that you really trust. Make sure that you just review it with someone else and you give yourself some time. I say take 2 to 3 days, so taking time over the weekend to think about it is really actually quite great. It's a good amount of time. Now, there are some things you should be considering during this time while you're mulling it over. First, make sure that they've actually sent you the offer. You can verbally accept on the phone and say, if everything looks good, I think that I could be leaning towards accepting this offer. You can say something like that, but I really cannot formally say until I get the offer in hand. I think that is appropriate and professional to say. Make sure that you do get that offer in hand. Make sure that you've been sent something to be able to sign, to be able to accept, that you can see the actual package and the bonuses, the payment structure, your paid time off, and again, making sure that you are looking at, is that all of the paid time off that you would get for the year, including bereavement, including your time, regular annual leave, including your sick pay. Make sure you're kind of paying attention to that. Pay attention to the notice period. Pay attention to any policies that are in there. I have in the past asked for a copy of the handbook to see if they could share any policies with me or some of their major policies with me. I have received some pushback. Sometimes they're able to show them to me. Sometimes they're not. They'll just ask for what specifically I'm interested in, say, talking about flexible working, talking about that in the interview we had discussed me being able to work from home on the days that my principal worked from home. Just making sure that the offer is consistent with what has been discussed already and been discussed in the interview process. Make sure that there's no surprises, there's no red flags. I can say in my experience, every time there was a red flag, it really led to bigger issues later on. There wasn't a time that I saw a red flag or something that didn't look right and was a surprise that didn't lead to a big issue later on. So make sure you know what those are and you address them and are comfortable with them from the beginning. So this is a time to define any ambiguities. You don't want anything to be ambiguous at this point. You can say if they will not share with you some of the policies, or they can't say they can't hand you over the employee handbook, which is understandable if you are not an employee, then you can say, yes, I conditionally accept. As they say to you, we conditionally accept based on your checking of your references and your background. You can say the same thing. You can say you conditionally accept based upon your review of the company handbook or the employee handbook once you start the company. You can say things like that. You have every right to. The last thing I would say is to check your offer against your intentional search checklist that you've made, all that criteria that you came up with. Check your offer. Think about the company, what you discussed in your interview, and decide, is this in line with your intentional search. Now, again, if you're in a position where you financially need to be finding a role, then in your intentional search, that is one of your highest criteria. So if that is one of the most important guiding forces, then it will align with your intentional search that you've been offered a role. But like I said, make sure you know all the offers that are on the table at the time, and that you have defined as many ambiguities as you can at this time to be able to make the best decision for you.